Hello, hello. What is up? Great to see everybody again. It's been like a half an hour since I was live the last time. But I changed. I changed my shirt and I put the Nick Taylor hair
That's good.
on. I put the Nick Taylor wig on.
Yeah, it's like, am I in a mirror? It's
Yeah,
like,
I know. It's crazy.
what's
We're like
going on here?
twins. Um, it's great to see you, man. It's been a couple weeks. We got to see each other IRL. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. It's like, yeah, I saw you and the whole Torque crew, and I even ran into, because I just got back from CubeCon. I ran into Chevet
Oh
Lambda.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I keep calling him Lambda, like in functions. Lamba, sorry.
Lamba.
But yeah, he was at All Things Open AI. Then I think he went to San Francisco, and then he flew all the way to London for CubeCon EU. So I saw him there too. So it was kind of cool.
Yeah, Chevet's been all over the place. Shout out to Chevet. I where did I see? I saw him at that conference in Wisconsin, and I saw him for the second time there at All Things AI, which was a phenomenal conference for its first round. I thought it
Oh
was
yeah,
great.
it was a banger conference, and honestly, I feel kind of cool to have been like one of the speakers at the inaugural one. Like I was
Yeah.
like, I don't know, felt like, hey, how's it going, Alex? Yeah, I mean, there's some like big speakers there, so like I wasn't intimidated, but I was just like, it just felt really
Yeah.
cool
Oh,
to be
sure.
a part of that, you know?
Yeah,
So
I bet. Well, before we get into that, because I would love to hear about your conference speaking experience, and I bet again that was awesome. Why don't we at least have you introduce yourself to anybody that may not know who you are? I am Jason. I am the host of the Tech Commute, and I am fortunate enough to be here with my up north homie, Nick Taylor. Nick, tell us a little bit about yourself.
yeah, thanks, Jason. Yeah, we're literally like I think an hour and 15 minutes minus border
Yeah.
wait between each other. But yeah, my name is Nick Taylor. I've been programming professionally since like 2002, and very recently I've been an individual contributor my entire career, but recently I switched to a new role where I'm working as a developer advocate now. But I've been kind of doing developer advocacy for the past 5 years already anyways, kind of baked it into my role, so it's kind of cool that I get to do it as the job
Hmm.
now. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and congrats on the new role.
Thanks, man.
What sort of a timeline were you at the previous role? Like, tell us a little bit about the previous role. Maybe roll that into what the job hunt process is like, the job search. Like, maybe tell us how you even
Yeah.
kind of ended up there and what that looked like. I mean, everybody's stories are very different, so it'll be interesting to kind of hear what your perspective is on that right now.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. Yeah. So for some context, so I was working at a company called Open
Hmm.
Sauced with one of our mutuals, a good friend of mine, Becca Harawagel, and some other awesome people. And in beginning in November, we got acquired by the Linux Foundation, and basically, they didn't really take the engineering team with them.
Oh,
My one coworker, John, ended up going there because he had worked on some infra stuff. But so it was a bit of a bummer, to be honest. Like I've only been laid off once before, and it was like at McAfee, and it was like not a bad experience because like our managers were awesome and just
yeah.
kept bringing in recruiters every Wednesday. But anyways, uh, yeah, basically, yeah, I was a little bummed out at first, and then you know, did the usual like post on socials. I didn't this. I don't know how spicy this is, but I really don't think the open to work banner is a good idea. That's just me.
Ooh,
But
okay. Okay, that's
um,
interesting. So you didn't do that. You
uh,
didn't use it, is what
no,
you're
no, no,
saying. Okay.
no. I just said, hey, just wrapped up. I wrote a positive, like wrapping up things at Open Sauce, looking for my, looking to work somewhere cool. I forget what I wrote, but basically, hit me up if you want to, and then definitely heard from a lot of my network. Um, but I had started to cold apply. I honestly don't cold apply to things
Hmm.
normally. I don't mean that being cocky. It's just like we were talking about this briefly before the stream, but like I've been working in open source for quite a while now, and most of my jobs have just come through. Oh, like Dev 2, I got hired there because I literally worked on their code base. So like a lot
Yeah.
of jobs in the last 4 years or so have really just been through open source. So it was interesting cold applying because I think I applied to maybe 16 places. I
Mhm.
had like a spreadsheet, just status and stuff.
Yeah.
And out of all that, there was one real application kind of interview process, and um, I did well on the first two, and then like I stopped the process because of I decided to go to Pomerium where I
Hmm.
work now. But I'd say for the most part, cold applying in this job climate is it. I don't know. It didn't no bites really for me, and I have a lot of experience. And like
Hmm.
where things came in clutch for me was my network. Um, I do have a bit of advantage there in the sense for like people starting out looking for jobs because like I've been in the industry for a long time, so I do know a bunch of people. But and I think we've talked about this before, or maybe I've been talking to Becca, but like you shouldn't treat your network like a transactional thing. It's like I never expect somebody to
Hmm.
hook me up with something. It's more like make friends, hang, and like if other things happen, that's great. But I'm never expecting that. But yeah, some people came through. Like my VP of engineering at Pomerium, I used to work with him at Netlify,
Oh,
and he
nice.
reached out to me. And like one of the reasons was because like I'm always putting myself out there, like whether that's open source, blogging, live streaming, all that stuff. Like I don't know, people don't read or watch all the streams,
Yeah.
obviously, but like they just see this influx of like, oh, Nick's pumping out stuff, so he must be doing something. And so I don't know if that even answered the question.
I don't even remember what the hell the question was, but no, that was awesome. Well, so like, what was the amount of time in between leaving open sauce to when you started at Pomerium? It wasn't long. Because I remember
No, there
talking
was
to you like via DM, like you had already kind of told me stuff was happening.
yeah. Yeah, I had some other offers kind of coming through. Like I was speaking to some people at Netlify because I used to work there, and there was a role that was pretty interesting. But in the end, like I was a perfect fit, but it did salary expectations and
Mm,
stuff didn't mix because like I was a staff engineer when I was at Netlify. But the timeline was about 2.5 months, I would say, which I think is long, but
yeah.
apparently that's not. So like, because like I've been used to like my career just like I usually take time off before my next role, but it's usually like 3 weeks tops between the next role, like if depending on how much time I decide to take off. So this was definitely odd for me at
Hmm.
least. Um, but on the plus side, yeah, there's a chip
Yeah,
bark
Chip
in the
Chip just
background. Or
barked. I know, son of a bitch.
yeah. Um, but yeah, it was about 2.5 months, and I gotta say, like after getting past that first initial couple weeks of being a little bummed out about not going to the Linux Foundation, like in retrospect, I really enjoyed 2.5 months off. Like I had financial cushion,
Sure.
but I did a bit of contract work because I was just honestly bored.
Hmm.
Um, but also it just helps to get some money too.
Of course.
But yeah, it was about 2.5 months, and I gotta say too, like some places, like some of the interview processes were like almost like one of them was like a month and a half, 2 months maybe. Like it was like a
Jeez.
long process. Like if you went through it, maybe pay and stuff and like like stocks and stuff, it could have been interesting. But I was like, I am not committing to
No,
2 months
that is
or
crazy.
month and a half maybe or 6 weeks.
That's still
But
a
like
lot. That's still a
yeah,
ton. That's like a week per
yeah.
stage, essentially, because some of them go six, five, 6 rounds. So,
Yeah,
oh my
and
God.
that's a commitment, and this wasn't Google or something,
Yeah.
like so. Anyways,
Yeah,
but
that's crazy. How did you? I mean, you kind of touched on it where you were a little bit bummed.
yeah,
Obviously, getting laid off or just canned period is not everybody's fun part of their life. How did you kind of like? What were you doing in the meantime to sort of take your mind off of that? Did you find like good outlets?
Yeah, like you know, uh, working out's one thing. Just tinkering around with like just working on side stuff. That was kind of what kept me, I don't know, like clear head, I guess. I typically go for like a long walk in the
Hmm.
evening, so that too, I guess. But also like honestly, some days it was just great just turning my brain off and doing nothing. I know not everybody has that
Yeah.
luxury, obviously, but like uh, I don't know. Yeah, like I said, it was kind of a blessing in disguise to be off for that 2.5 months.
Sure.
So
No, I get that. I think it's really important because I'm sure there were points working at Open Sauce and even just sort of toward the end there where you were doing a lot. The stress gets to you, like you get burned out. Like
yeah,
maybe ultimately you needed that time off.
yeah, like to be clear too, like for anybody that knows our work at Open Source, like we were cranking out stuff like all the
Pretty
time.
small team too,
Like
right?
yeah, we were three developers, and then
Wow.
eventually my coworker Zayu joined the team. I
Hmm.
brought her on, and so we were four. Probably like for the last 9 months I was there. But yeah, we were just cranking out a ton of stuff, and like yeah, it was just yeah. I guess yeah, going like at full tilt and then hitting the brakes was kind of good. I think.
Yeah.
Um, Uh,
Yeah.
but to be clear though, I wasn't really burnt out. I just think I'd just been doing a lot,
Sure.
not the same thing,
Oh yeah, yeah,
But
yeah. Well,
uh,
here, let me ask you this then. How do you define burnout? I think that that's obviously different for everybody. And if you just thought you were
yeah,
pushing, like still having a break is good. So maybe you did
yeah,
need it because maybe you were getting close. Everybody has their own
yeah.
signs.
I think if it's something you enjoy doing and you're cranking it out like crazy, I don't think that's burnout.
Yeah,
I think that's just like maybe slow down a
yeah,
bit sometimes or give yourself some grace some days. But if you're generally enjoying the work, I don't even classify that as burnout, um, in my opinion. It's like when you start dreading to go into work, there's lots of pressure,
hmm,
like, yeah. I that's like obviously not sleeping enough and stuff can definitely cause
oh
burnout.
yeah,
So it's a fine line, obviously. Like my good times could turn into burnout
hmm,
potentially, I guess. But I was generally, I still work on getting enough sleep, but I felt like I had that under control pretty good.
good.
And exercising, like those things keep me sane.
Hmm.
And it's just generally good for you. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I'm saying the obvious, I know, but like if I'm stressed out, going and lifting weights will make me feel a million times better.
Oh yeah.
So
Sleep is very important. Janet is chiming in also and
yeah,
agreeing with you there. You kind of talked about this too, where you were writing and posting content, streaming this and that, and it kind of put you on Pomerium's radar. It sounds like was
yeah,
that always something you were kind of planning, or were you just doing that to fill your creative juices, like to satiate that?
yeah. Yeah, so the way that all started was pretty much I started blogging again when I was before I worked at Dev2, but like I don't know, I had a blog like years ago, like I had one in 2016 and I think I had one in 2008 or something, but like wasn't didn't really put too much into it. But when I discovered Dev2, I really liked the platform,
Hmm.
and so I started blogging, and that's where the blogging kicked in again. And then once I started working at Dev2, this was like 2020, so literally I go to my offsite for Dev2 in New York State. But I get back and it's like immediate lockdown for
Oh
pandemic,
yeah.
So then, kind of bored. And my old coworker, Jason Langsdorf, we overlapped at Netlify for a bit.
Hmm.
He's been doing live streaming forever. And
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm going to try that. I was bored. I remember literally doing my first Twitch stream. Nobody's watching me, like literally zero. And I'm just talking to myself. And then I got this idea that like all the work I'm doing is open source. So like, why don't I just start doing my own work on the stream,
Mm.
and then I had this idea of like, oh, why don't if people want to contribute to the project, why don't I have them on the stream? And it's not to finish a feature or something. It was more just like, help them get started really. And then that kind of evolved into uh, Hacktoberfest in 2020,
Okay.
where me and my old coworker Christina Gorton, we were kind of like air quotes the face of Dev 2 for Hacktoberfest, and I threw the idea out there like, why don't we just live stream all of Hacktoberfest with people, and then that just stuck. Because to be clear, like I'm full time engineering here. I'm not a
Yeah.
developer advocate, and and then like once Hacktoberfest was over, I said, hey, can we still do this? And they said, yeah, sure, as long as you don't spend a lot of time like in terms of setup and
Yeah.
everything. So that's kind of where I got the bug for live streaming. And then when I left Dev 2, I just kept doing it at Netlify, and then open source, same thing. And then the blogging continued. And then kind of, I'd given a lot of virtual
Mm-hmm.
talks because of pandemic. And then my first in-person conference talk was actually 2 Februarys ago
Wow.
at a local conference. And then just, I don't know, it's like got on that treadmill, and then all of a sudden things started turning, the corner, turned around the,
Yeah.
what's the expression, turning the corner.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden just started getting more talks accepted. And that's been a whole other thing now. Like we mentioned, I spoke at ATO AI, and then like I was in London, I gave a talk like while I was at KubeCon, and I'm actually flying out to San Francisco Thursday to give that talk again, and then at the Microsoft offices on the Monday after. So it's like
Wow.
whirlwind tour at the moment. I will. I'm definitely getting those frequent flyer points.
Yeah,
That's
you
for sure.
are. Holy crap. No, that's awesome. What's your big takeaway from in-person events as opposed to virtual? I mean, obviously you're streaming, you're communicating, you're networking, we're doing all these things face to face but digitally. So what is
Yeah,
your biggest like takeaway or benefit from going to an in-person event?
yeah. Well, I'd say like the thing, if we look at virtual conferences, they're still great because there's still content going out
Hmm.
there, but I don't know about everybody else, but I tend to kind of like, I don't take time off of work to attend a virtual conference.
Mm.
I'll put it on a side monitor, and you're not necessarily fully engaged. At least I'm not. Like sometimes I'll just be like, oh, I got to keep working, but
Yeah.
then, or I'll watch it later or whatever. And that's kind of, it's really hard to do a really good virtual conference. And I don't think anybody's nailed that. But with the in person, to me, it's really the people. Like typically, I'm going to these conferences now because I'm giving a talk, and that's like my cheat code to get there.
Yeah.
Uh, but I definitely catch some talks, but for me, like most conferences will record the talks, so like I just love hanging out with people, and people that I don't necessarily get to hang out with normally or never, because like literally different countries. So like, and you mentioned it before, but like we hung out at ATO AI. We had to grab some good food and some
Mm.
drinks and
Hmm.
stuff, and like to me that's more important, because like those connections, like those stake, like next time you go to another one, it's like cool, hey, what's up, man,
Yeah.
and it's like,
Yeah.
and it's and it's real people, you know what I
I
mean? So
agree. No, I love it for that too. We were kind of talking about it on the stream previously. It's like kind of the similar thing with multiple coffee chats with new people. You don't really get an opportunity to like make the relationship stronger, like make those connections stronger
yeah,
like you do in person. It's like we can talk and talk,
yeah,
but then we got to hang out at was it Commit Your Code? No, it was All Things Open.
uh,
It was All Things
yeah,
Open.
yeah, oh yeah, last year
Yeah, yeah,
all
yeah.
things open, yeah,
That's where we
yeah,
first
yeah,
met, and then we got to
yeah,
hang out again this time. So again, it's like
yeah,
those making those connections more sound and being able to hang out and like have the stories together,
yeah,
like super important. It was October,
yeah.
then 2 weeks ago. Yes,
It's the
3 weeks
second,
ago.
yeah.
Holy crap! It's that
I'll
long.
be slightly hypocritical though, because like I've been part of the virtual coffee community since
Mm,
like the beginning, and I don't know about you, but like I never really hung out with people online prior to the pandemic. Not because like I'm too cool for school or anything. It's just I would just hang out with people. It never seemed like a thing to do, or it never occurred to me. But the pandemic obviously changed
yeah.
that, and so like the hypocritical part is like Becca, who's a really good friend of
Hmm.
mine now. Like, I made a pretty strong connection with her just through virtual coffee. Then we ended up working together, so I got to meet her last year at React Miami where
Nice.
we had our offsite. So that was super cool. But like that's like the exception because like talked to her a lot,
Hmm.
even though it was online. So, but in general, I'd say yeah,
Oh yeah,
people in person. It's the way to go.
for sure.
Yeah,
How did you get involved with virtual coffee? Which, and maybe you could also explain to, I'm sure everybody
yeah.
knows what it is, but maybe you could kind of tell everybody what that is.
Yeah, so if virtual coffee, you can go to the website. It's just virtualcoffee.io. I'll drop it in the chat there. But essentially, it's a community that got started during the pandemic. Becca, I was still working at Dev 2 at this point, and so like Becca came on my radar because like I don't know if people remember Code Newbie.
Hmm.
Code Newbie still has a community on Dev, like part of Forum, but we acquired Code Newbie, so like Saran and crew,
Hmm.
and so like I used to participate in they had Twitter kind of chats and stuff, and then that's kind of how I initially met Becca. I was trying to help her with something, but then she posted, "Hey, I'm thinking of doing a virtual coffee. Does anybody want to join?" And it was literally I DM'd her. I said, "Hey, yeah, I'd like to join," and she literally copy pasted a Zoom link in Twitter DMs. That's how it started. But now it's like, yeah, Alex is part of VC as well. Yeah, it's awesome. But now it's like completely automated. There's a Slack. There's like Zooms get automatically
Hmm.
created. Like it's like quite the production now. But like back in the day, it was like we were literally like anywhere between 8 and 12 people just joining on a Zoom call, and like that's all it was. And yeah, so that's how it started, and that's how I got into it, and I just stuck with it. It's still one of my favorite communities, and I try to help where I can there too. So
That's awesome.
but yeah,
Giving back a little bit. Giving back a little
yeah,
bit.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
How important is it when you're a part of the community? I mean, at least for you, and again, these are just kind of general community questions. How important is it to kind of be on both sides of that? Like be a member, but also contribute, like find ways to
Yeah,
contribute. How has that also helped you perhaps in finding jobs or like connecting with people that have ended up in roles?
yeah, yeah. I think I'll say one thing, which is I'm generalizing here, but in my experience with volunteering, it's always the same people. It's like
It's true.
that's just the way it goes. So like, I'm a little busier these days, but like typically I would help run a coffee chat or take notes. Like there's different roles you can have
Hmm.
during it. Um, you know, I don't think doing the both sides. I don't know if that's helped work wise, but it's definitely like I think the only way to scale a community, because like obviously you're growing the Torque community, the only way you can scale a community is by getting people to help out.
Mm.
Uh, like that means more moderators or just and typically it's the people that enjoy the community that are willing to help. So
Yeah.
like I think it's great in that respect, like because like Dev 2 when I left was almost like a million literal active
Wow.
members, and so like we had tons and tons of
Sure.
moderators, um, you know. But I think you could like I have it on my LinkedIn. I put that I volunteer and mentor at Virtual Coffee as well as the Collab Lab, which is now defunct. But I don't know. I think the reason why I do those things too is like I didn't have a mentor. Like that mentoring
Mm.
wasn't really a thing when I started.
Yeah.
Like and I've never really had a mentor. So I'm just kind of like if I can help some people, I will, I know it's tough out there. So like, you know, I I don't know. I also think there's like some good karma happening too. I'm not
Sure.
expecting anything from it, but I do think something generally good will happen at some point if you're giving to a community.
Yeah. No, I love that. Also, we still have our mentor program applications
Mhm.
open, Nick. Shout out to Torque's mentor mentee program.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah.
even know you had
Oh
that.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
happy to. If you want to drop a link to that, shamelessly plug away Torque
Hell
here.
yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah, no, I'll. I didn't even know that was a thing over at
Yeah,
Torque.
I'll send you a direct link to the mentor like application, but I can tell you pretty
Okay,
confidently. I
cool.
think I can probably fast track you in. You seem like a pretty good egg. Um, how do you approach mentoring people? I think sometimes from like a mentee perspective, and I've had reservations about this program in general, just because I think at a certain point, if things aren't communicated clearly, if the person, the mentee fails, it's the mentor's fault. I think maybe internally the mentor could feel that, but also the mentee now has a scapegoat. And I think it's very
Yeah.
important to like have that communication from both sides, like what the expectations are. Like, how do you approach a mentorship role with a potential mentee?
Yeah, I think it depends on the people that are looking for help.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just a like do my homework for me kind of
Yeah.
vibe. Like it's a two-way street, you know? Like if I'm going to mentor you, I'm expecting you to, you know, pull your own weight too. Like it's not me just going to be constantly answering questions.
Mm-hmm.
And also side note, but like there's obviously Google Stack Overflow, but like age of AI now, there's many things that you can look up even with free plans
Mm-hmm.
right now that I would strongly encourage people to do, because I still have people ask stuff and like my first instinct is like, one, why didn't you Google that, or why didn't you ask ChatGPT? You know, do a bit of due
Yeah.
diligence before you like, you know, like reach out for help, because a lot of times I've seen, because we have a help and pairing channel in Virtual Coffee, and I do like helping people, but if they just say like, I did this thing, it doesn't work, like I don't have any context, like why didn't it work? What did you try? And like obviously people with different levels of experience will have different, you know, like this is what I tried kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff, but I'm expecting people to just at least at a minimum say this is what I tried, I'm stuck, or like I, I did this thing, but I just don't understand it. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
just, you know, put a bit of a fig leaf out there, not just a like, just, you know, I'm lazy and I just want you to give me the answers kind of thing.
Yeah.
Cause that's not mentoring. That's really not even helping.
No,
And
not at all.
it's a waste of time in my opinion, but,
Agreed. No, I totally agree. Good clarifying questions with as much context. With as much context is important. Yeah, I think I
yeah.
got that.
And the other thing about questions too is I'd say like, doesn't matter what level of seniority you are, ask questions. Like where I remember I was in a work call and somebody said, "Yeah, this is I don't know." They said it was like a WAS or something. I was like right away. I was like, "What is that? I don't know what that is." You know, and nobody's like Nick's a dummy. It's just like, you know, they just paste it out, or they would say it
Mm-hmm.
in the chat. You know, so like, and I say that too because like when I started off, I never wanted to look dumb. I always felt stupid as
Mm-hmm.
a junior developer. So some people made me feel stupid, but um, you know, ask those questions, because like I remember vividly somebody saying ROI multiple times when I was at work, and which is return on investment, but like I didn't know that at the time, and this is like literally pre Stack Overflow. uh, Google kind of
Yeah.
was there now, but like, so like, you know, just basically I always kind of say like it's better to look silly now than later,
Mm-hmm.
kind of, you know. So just no shame with asking questions.
Sure.
If anything, I guarantee you, there's somebody else and maybe at the same experience level, but it's like, oh, I didn't know that either. But they don't say anything. They're just like, thank God Nick asked that, or like, you know,
No, you see that a lot though. That one person
yeah,
asked, and I think that's also why it is important to ask, because there's
yeah,
so many other people that could potentially learn from your question as well. So I think getting comfortable with asking those questions is a huge like value add to you as a developer. You mentioned like early on in your career, you had a little bit of hesitancy asking those questions and stuff like that. Did you ever
yeah,
sort of suffer from the imposter syndrome early on, and maybe how, and maybe you still are? Like, I don't think it ever
yeah.
goes away, but how do you handle it? How do you manage that?
This might be a spicy take as well, like the open to work thing, but I don't think you have imposter syndrome if you're starting out. You literally just don't know it. Like,
Mm.
you know what I mean? It's not the same thing. I feel imposter syndrome now as like having been in there for years. Like some days I'll wake up, I'm totally competent web developer, and I'll be like, I don't know if I can do that, or I'm not sure if I'm good enough, you know? And like I do have those thoughts, but I don't think it's the same thing with like, I've got imposter syndrome as a web dev because I don't know React. You have it's just you don't know it yet.
Hmm.
Like it's and like I think people muddy the waters there, because it's easy to say, like a lot of people like saying imposter syndrome
Yeah.
as well. It's
Yeah.
like, so I think there's a difference, um, I would equate imposter syndrome to you have experience or knowledge about certain topics, but on some days you feel like you don't, even though you do. That's
Hmm.
how I would classify it
Okay.
versus like, hey, I'm just starting off. I don't have imposter syndrome. I just don't know this yet.
Yeah. No, that's actually a good way of clarifying it. We have to come up with a new term then for that piece of it,
Yeah,
so we can move it away from the imposter syndrome. Because I agree, I
yeah,
think it is two different things. I had a conversation with Leon Noel, who runs 100 Devs once, and we were talking
yeah,
about imposter syndrome versus imposter thoughts. And imposter
yeah.
syndrome's more of like an actual like clinical problem as opposed to the people that just are doubting themselves like in your mind,
Okay,
you know
yeah,
what I mean? So yeah, I totally
yeah,
agree with you. I think we need to come up with a new word, baby dev
yeah,
syndrome. There you go.
yeah, yeah.
That's
Baby
it.
dev.
I
Yeah,
love that.
but uh, but yeah, like, but the other thing too is I think it's okay to doubt
Hmm.
yourself. Like I would say I'm generally not very cocky about my skills, and anytime I feel like I start to get cocky, it's like those self doubt thoughts kind of bring me back to, like, uh, but you know, it's I think it's okay to have them. I think it's healthy. I think it makes me try to do better
Hmm.
in some weird way, if that makes sense.
No, no, definitely. How does he actually? Here's an interesting question. Since you brought that up, you don't think that you're cocky? Is it possible to be cocky and Canadian? Like, I don't think I've ever
I
heard a cocky Canadian person.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I think the thing is, like, people again, like, muddying waters between confidence and being
Mm,
cocky. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like I know I can do this versus like I'm the shit.
yeah,
Like it's like, you know, maybe there's some times where like I did something really awesome and I'll beat myself like,
yeah,
fuck yeah,
yeah.
like, but in general, I think it's just confidence. Like, and I can give a perfect example. Like people are terrified of live coding a
Mm,
lot when when I have guests
yeah,
on. They're like, no,
yeah,
absolutely not. And like I've totally like crushed that myself. I just hit a point where I was like, it doesn't matter. Nobody's watching me on my Twitch stream, which, eventually people did,
yeah.
but like you just I feel more confident now. Like I don't know. Also, I just want to be conscious of time. I know you got to take your
Oh
daughter.
yeah, 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 yeah. Well, I'll ask one more question after this, but yeah, we do
Okay,
have to cut a little
cool.
short. I have an impromptu doctor's appointment I have to attend to, but
Yeah,
we'll
yeah.
definitely catch up with Nick again. This has been
But
fun.
but but what I will say though is like, and it's not. It sounds cheesy, but you have to really get comfortable with being
Hmm.
uncomfortable. And like that's if I could give one piece of advice to anybody career wise, that's been, aside from open source, that's been like a huge cheat code for me. Anytime I get uncomfortable, my career changes for the good.
I mean, honestly, it's like it's kind of a cliche soundbite, but it resonates so hard. Like
Mhm.
it could be said about so many different things about your learning journey, about doing live coding, or just stepping out of those comfort zones. I love that
Yeah.
you brought that up. Well, shout out to you and Pomerium. We definitely have to do another one of these. Maybe you can come and hang out on a Friday when you're not busy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, all good. No rush, man. I know you
yeah, and
got
we'll
a huge
do some live coding together. You can help me step out of my comfort zone a little bit
all
because
right,
that's
cool,
one I
cool.
do
Yeah,
not
yeah.
love. Last question, and again, everybody can find you over at nikki.t.online. All your socials are there. Make sure you go check that out. And Nick does stream. When's your next stream?
I'm streaming Wednesday on this. It's the CFE Dev channel. It's like, cause I do a guest stream too,
Cool.
and I'm hanging out with Jack Harrington.
Nice. Yeah,
It's the
Jack.
first time I have a guest on actually for that stream. So we're gonna be digging into Tan Stack Router. He created a whole open source CLI project around that. So that's what
Oh,
we're
cool.
digging into.
That's awesome.
Um,
Jack's a good dude. I've
yeah,
talked to him a couple times. Like, I think he's speaking at Render this year, so I actually get to meet him. So that'll be
nice,
cool.
nice.
Last question, and I'll let you go. What does success look like to Nick Taylor?
Uh, I think for me, it's like not having to worry about money, having fun, and working on cool stuff.
I like
Cool
that.
stuff's very subjective, I guess, but and people, like people really matter. Every job I've had, you hang out with, even in a remote context, you hang out with people at your companies probably more than your family. So the people do matter.
Dude, we didn't even get into rugby. We definitely need a part two. I will message Nick and we will get that set up because I do owe him a part two. But this
Oh,
was
I'll
this
get.
was awesome. Thank you for your time, and thanks to everybody in the stream here. We've got Richard and Roxy and Janet was here. Alex, great to see you in the stream. Taylor had made an appearance earlier, but he's too cool to hang out for more than 5 minutes. Um, Everybody
He's
else,
probably getting iced coffee.
yeah, he needs more of that.
Yeah.
Thank you again, everybody. I apparently have another stream tomorrow, so I will see you guys tomorrow.
All right.
But remember, it's nice to be important. It's more important to be nice. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. We'll see you guys soon. Bye, everybody.
Later, everybody.